Hi there, Libra. Welcome to your mid-July 2025 General Tarot Update. It's Raina here. Hopefully it's not too dim. I don't have any indoor lights. So, okay, let's see if I can. I've been saying when I have been remembering in some of this set of forecasts that I have a second channel. Some of you know that, some of you don't. It's called Tarot Alchemy with Raina Moon. I almost said by, and I thought, why did I say with instead of by? But because the alchemy isn't coming from me. I'm just a messenger. And so the reason I'm bringing this up is, first of all, because some of you don't know that, but also because I have love readings for people in relationships or people who have exes. I have that up right now. I think for your sign. I've done most of the signs. And I just wanted to let you know that I'm going to be focusing on love readings for the time being on that channel. And, kind of that will be my focus. So if you're interested in that, please do check it out. Okay, 2 cards. I'm going to bring them both out here. Okay. Well, we got a lot of major arcana cards. I mean, I only drew 6 cards, I think. And, or is it 7? 7. And 4 of them are, or 3 of them are major arcana, which is indicating important events. The minor arcana are kind of the day-to-day stuff. So that can say that this is an important shift in your life, this month of, and certainly with career matters, because in astrology, this is Cancer season right now. We're in the thick of it, and Jupiter went into Cancer in June, and that's your 10th house of career. Now, that will differ from Libra person to Libra person when, these things go in your 10th house, but that's the connection with Cancer as the 10th house. The heart of the matter is the 9 of Swords. This is a card of anxiety. Swords connect with all the air signs. It's the element of the air. So we're talking about Gemini, we're talking about Libra, and we're talking about Aquarius. The air element is all about the mind. So the swords are about communication, whether it be your communication to yourself, which is your thoughts, your thought patterns, or to others. It's also connected with conflict or drama, or there's another word that they often use. Strife, I guess they say, which I find very interesting. I don't know exactly why that is, although swords, are things that we use, or weapons that are used in battle. Maybe it is because our swords tend to be our words more than, a physical weapon, thank God. But even our thoughts can be our worst enemies, right? So there might be something in, this interpretation here, which I think also, no, this is different than Rider Waite. And one of the things I don't like about this interpretation is that it reminds me of the 8 of Swords, which is kind of like showing a person blindfolded, bound, and I don't know if they're gagged, but they're definitely bound. So to me, there's too much similarities with the 8 of Swords. And there are some similarities in those cards. It is going to be this sense of, in this case, you'd call it anxiety. In the 8 of Swords, it would be self-limiting beliefs. But even with the 9 of Swords, your thoughts could be creating anxiety. Maybe you're worrying a lot right now for some reason. It could be situational. There could be some particular thing that is going on. I feel like there's something with relationship. And, that's why I brought up that other channel, because I was joking that even though I'm trying to dedicate it to love readings, they always seem to come here when I'm doing an open reading. So it's like, what is going on? In the past position, we have the High Priestess. So this can be knowing that something is going on, sensing that something is going on. So for instance, when we talk about cheating, that seems to be a big thing going on in relationships. And, depending on the person that you're with, that person might gaslight you, tell you you're crazy, charm their way into like getting you to believe that, yeah, I am crazy. I'm just imagining things. And the higher message is actually something kind of different. Well, it could go both ways, to be very honest with you. Page of Swords. Now, Libra is right next to the sign of Scorpio. Pages can be messages. But you see, we see the sword because it's a sword, but pages can be about communication. But again, it could be within yourself. And this is the spy card. This can be the person who's very suspicious. This can be the person, if they are married, that they hire a private detective. And yet, you might have Mercury in Scorpio. You might have Mars in Scorpio or Venus in Scorpio. Or, I was going to say, or God forbid, all three of the above. Because Scorpio is a sign that is associated with being very suspicious. Suspicious minds. And maybe you are distorted in your thinking. Maybe you have a square between Mercury and Pluto. And that makes you prone to thinking the worst about situations and people. All of those things can be true. And then you can create a self-fulfilling prophecy. So we have to keep that in mind when we're talking about, what is true, what isn't true. You have to always remember that you could be, on the other end of things, you might be a person who has trust issues, and therefore you project that onto new relationships and you doom them before they have begun. And because you're a Libra, you really are driven to being in relationships, but then that rears its ugly head. And it's like, and that could be that anxiety. And really, sometimes the anxiety might be that you're afraid of getting too close to someone because you don't want your heart stomped on. But it is very, very possible that if, with the High Priestess, I think especially with the High Priestess, that you may sense that something is going on. And the Page of Swords could be, did you do your homework? Did you just kind of like fall into something because you really wanted to be in a relationship, and you really, maybe you even noticed certain discrepancies and you didn't acknowledge it because you really wanted this to work. So that could be, to me, even more likely a scenario. What crosses you as a Sun card, this is a card of joy, love, creativity, children, abundance, all these things. Even when it's, I probably picked this card upright, but I'm reading it like almost like a reverse card because it's challenging. But even when it's challenging a reading, it is, one of my books calls it partial joy, meaning that there is something here. I think that if there's somebody you have met that you are in love with, and you feel this sense of like oppression, I think of the Nine of Swords. Maybe you feel like you're in a relationship and you have to kind of watch your back, and you're with somebody who's very controlling. That the Sun card is someone, and that could be a Leo. The Sun rules Leo. But it's not, there's something that's preventing it. So it could be a person in your life who really cares about you, but you're afraid. You're afraid to get close to this person. And it might be like you're keeping it from happening. But of course, if you are, in a committed relationship, then that also is going to delay any kind of true love situation, regardless, whatever the Sun card means to you. Even if even if you do not have somebody in your life, but I think that you do because of this card. So I'm going to just keep on going. What's coming in is the Two of Wands. This is time to choose. And this could be for some people career related, because you may be it's right under the High Priestess, which can connect to spiritual matters. So it might be that you have been having a spiritual awakening, having, I think, having Neptune in your 6th house can indicate doing work of a spiritual nature, or at least being kind of confused about like what you're supposed to be doing. And that's when people are confused, and maybe they weren't confused in the past, it's because what they thought they wanted, they no longer want. And so then they're like, but what else is there? Like they're starting to question their life as a whole. And which is a great thing, because, if you're just on automatic, I know there are people who never question their lives. They're just they put one foot in front of the other. And I'm not saying that those people are bad people, but I do believe that we're here for more than that. We're here for more than keeping our bodies alive and our material selves in existence. So the wands can be about passion. They connect with the fire element. And so I feel like, I wonder if that's like for relationships or new love coming in. I wonder if that's a Leo individual. But just anything that brings passion to you. The High Priestess, to me, is specifically about, the kind of metaphysical realm. But who knows? It could simply mean that you're having a spiritual awakening, and all of a sudden, all those things that you thought were important, you realize, like the Sun can even be like turning your back on your creativity, and that keep making you anxious. So you might be at a crossroads in terms of professions, but also obviously in love. Where does passion, what kind of value do you place on it in terms of like how you jibe with another person, if you feel like, a strong connection with them, or if it's just kind of like going through the motions because it's what you've always known, or things like that. And so the last two cards that came out together, by the way, are the Justice card, which is your card. And it is a card that can talk about the legal system if you are contemplating divorce, for instance. And also it's about balance and, like fairness. So if you have been in a situation where somebody has put you through the mill, so to speak, has put you, through hell, and it's not about vengeance, but it might be about or turning the tables, but it might be about like, okay, now it's time to enjoy my life. I've had enough hell. Now I choose heaven or peace. But I got the Two of Cups. This is a card of reuniting with someone. It can be a card of committing to someone, in certain cases. But for some reason, I mean, because it's by the Justice card, I can't help but think that maybe this is someone from your past. And you did have a solar eclipse in your 7th house of committed partnership back in late March. So this might be something that came from that. I don't know. All right, that's what I have for you, Libra. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, be it astrology, the tarot, or both, I have package deals, individual readings. You can find out more information at the link below. Thanks for watching. Bye.